That's why Ruby is so slow when it's running on embedded hardware, and that's why PowerShell quoting syntax is so unusual and peculiar, and that's why Java developers do that thing with their exceptions that makes you go, is this right? That's why Apple keyboards don't work. So good evening and welcome, and that's why flat screens are so popular, and we are live!
Are we
on
live?
YouTube.
Yeah!
We are live.
Oh, good.
We are
Great.
live, and there are human beings watching us on the internet, and
No
any
kidding.
second now, one of them is going to say hi, and we're going to work out how much latency there is on this stream. But yes, we are live, we are streaming. Good evening, YouTube, and welcome to Oslo from a bunch of people who are not in Oslo. Actually, a couple of you actually are in Oslo, aren't you? We have some actual people in from Norway on the NDC Oslo game show host tonight. So, hello everybody and welcome. Oh God, Niall Merrigan is in the YouTube chat. This is how it starts, you know. Hello, Margaret. Hey, Jan. Hey, Håkon. Christian. No, Niall says he's in Stavanger. Gregor says beautiful people here. Thank you, Gregor. I was thinking the same thing myself. So the dark shape you can see hovering just off my shoulder there, the darkness is Richard Campbell grappling with the technology in the solitude of Windows Update and trying to get vMix to pick up the right webcam. So at any point, Richard may actually just suddenly spontaneously manifest and join us. So we're going to get on and begin this evening's entertainment. So, Mark, how are you doing? Other than eating your dinner when you're live on television.
And he's very quiet.
As a professional comedian taught you nothing.
He's very quiet. So quiet.
Mark's muted himself while he was eating his sandwiches, and now we can't hear him at all. This is hilarious. This is so much fun. While Mark is fiddling with his microphone, let's meet the teams this evening. So on Carl's team tonight, we have somebody who has the dubious misfortune of working with an NDC Oslo veteran, working with Niall in information security. Please welcome Elin Tundal. How are you, Elin?
I'm good, thank you.
Hi down there.
And joining Elin on Carl Franklin's team tonight, please welcome Layla Porter.
Hey, folks.
Hey.
So, Layla, Elin, what have you been doing to keep yourselves entertained during this fascinating period of lockdown when we're not allowed to go outside or do anything or have any fun? It's Richard Campbell. He's on the...
Yeah, hi, Richard. Hi, Richard.
All I had to do was uninstall every other driver on my computer. So I'll have to rebuild it.
We've all been there.
But somehow that worked.
Been there, done that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now we know what Campbell's been doing during lockdown. He's been installing drivers, apparently.
I've been uninstalling drivers. I've been crippling my machine to make this work.
Did you ever see, there was a guy a few years ago who wanted to break the Guinness World Record for installing the largest number of operating systems on a single computer. And he ended up with like everything going back to MS-DOS 2.2. And he was like, he didn't want to do it with virtual machines. He did the whole thing by hacking the Linux bootloader. So it would patch in boot sectors from different drives and then boot that operating system. And he said it was a total waste of time, but he spent so much time practicing the guitar while he was waiting for operating systems to install, that at the end of it he could actually play the guitar, and he went and started a band. And so I think there's a lesson in that for us all. Anyway, sorry.
Can I
Elin,
just check?
Layla,
Can people hear me?
Yes, we
you
can.
hear me?
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah, you can.
Yes! I have no mouth, but I must scream. So yeah, no, I'm not eating my dinner. I've eaten my dinner. It was 2 peanut butter sandwiches, and one of them had jam in, so that was pudding. And now I'm just drinking.
Like a very balanced diet.
It is. It is. It's strawberry jam, so it's one of my 5 a day.
Oops, someone's watching the... No, there we go. Look, there. Oh, look, there. Title slide.
Yeah,
Look,
there we go.
I'm a
Hey.
serious professional, honestly.
Progress.
So, yes. So what have... And on Richard's team tonight, we have Sarah Bergman and Denny de Klerk. So, panelists, welcome all of you to Have I Got NDC Oslo for You? What have you all been up to keep yourselves entertained and distracted while we've all been in lockdown? Anyone got any fun lockdown projects?
Uninstalling drivers.
Training a puppy.
Oh.
Oh,
Training
that
a
sounds like
puppy.
a lot of fun.
It is.
Yes, for training.
Yeah,
the puppy.
definitely. Let's say being a real. Sorry.
No? Okay. So the secret
Let's
about
say
doing
a
these kinds
real.
of things is you just keep talking.
Right.
That's right.
Let's say being a real, typical, asocial, autistic person staying at home until late at night, binge watching a computer screen for conferences without getting social contact. That's what I did. And some other stuff
Yes.
too, honestly.
Yes.
So
Like
there
it's
are
our
like
UK government.
behavior now is serving humanity.
yeah.
The introvert was so good for the planet.
Yeah, we are
Yes,
good.
it's one of
We don't spread the virus as being asocial at our desk. We are good people right now.
We're always good people.
See, I keep getting told that I need to practice social distancing, and I don't need to practice social distancing. I'm awesome at it. I've been doing it my whole life.
That's a scientific way of saying, will you please go away?
There are some
Everyone
kind of
just
like,
leave me alone.
I would love to get back to a point when bars and restaurants are open, but other human beings are not allowed within 1 meter of me without permission. You know, that's a world I can live with. Think about how much nicer it's going to be flying when basically everybody has to be in business class
totally be on
all the
board
time.
with that.
Yeah.
I will also miss when all of this is over. I will really miss when I could just slightly cough and any scary person just move to the other side of the street. It's amazing. I miss it so much.
Like you're at the office Christmas party and your boss leans in for a hug and you can just go, unclean! You know.
Yes.
But
All right.
think on flying and sitting as the only one in a row. Each row, another, and only no person that you don't know next to you in a plane. Just to go for yourself. Flying has never been so funny. And
There's a great article from years ago when they have the World Sumo Championships. They have to modify 747s to carry the sumo wrestlers to where they're going.
oh my god.
Oh, wow. I
Basically,
didn't know I was a
they
sumo
take
wrestler.
entire rows of seats and they put in like one big armchair where there used to be 2 rows. And yeah, it's, you know, one of those things you never think about. And then you're like, actually, yeah, that's kind of obvious now you consider it. Anyway. Good
So do you
evening,
have news for us?
We do indeed. We are going to entertain and educate our viewers. We've got 118 people watching the stream who genuinely have nothing better to do. So we are going to
I love you all. Wasting your time with this.
dazzle and delight our audience with 5 rounds of questions about what has been going on in the wonderful world of news and technology. Now, I don't know if any of you have looked at the news. We are focusing on a very narrow subset of the news at the moment. We're looking for the stuff where there's good comedy and stuff. So we hope you enjoy an hour or so of light entertainment and distraction, and we're going to kick off with a round called Attention to Detail. We're going to show you a tiny detail from one of the stories that has been in the news recently or something that's been trending online. So first question, this is for Carl's team. Carl, Elin, and Layla, what do you think is happening here?
So we get to confer among ourselves and then come up with a team answer. Or do we just shout things out?
You can
You
shout
get
things
to confer
out.
among yourselves, but everybody can hear it.
Oh, okay. What
So
is
if you say
happening
anything
here?
really stupid, we're all going to laugh at you.
That's fine.
Well, that's acceptable.
Yeah.
It looks like. Do you remember the annoying orange? Do you remember the annoying orange? Yeah. It looks like annoying oranges all coming together. Finishing school for annoying oranges.
I see somebody. I see somebody
Is that
eating
the-
Skittles and doing Legos at the same time.
Is that the annoying orange that became president of the United States, or are we thinking about a different one?
Now. I just thought it was annoying. I just thought it was annoying mandarins that are thinking that they are oranges.
Oh, okay.
So they're just mandarins and they think they are oranges.
That's why they're
mandarins.
annoying.
And that's the problem, of course. That's the
You see,
problem.
I'm a big fan of orange citrus, but nothing annoys me more than picking up what I think is a satsuma and it turns out to be a tangerine. this should not be allowed. There should be clearer labeling regulations in the food industry. So what do we got?
This clearly looks like it's animation. It looks like it's computer generated. Is that true?
No. If there was ever a better metaphor for Donald Trump than a mandarin that thinks it's an orange. I have yet to hear it.
Mandarin slice in heavy syrup in a can.
Sitting on some white cream.
Yeah, on a bed of cottage cheese.
So, a side of blue Lego. We're going to send it over to the other side, Richard and Cody.
Yeah, we give up. We have no idea.
I immediately went to Lego Caviar, clearly. Right?
Yeah.
I
went to like...
I went
Lego
to like
Caviar.
a stress ball because it hurts so much when you step on Lego. You need like something to squeeze.
It could be.
Yeah,
could
maybe.
Be.
Yeah.
Let's bring in the rest of the picture and see if any of you know what the story is.
Oh my god.
Yes, that's what sports have degenerated to, the Marble League.
This is what passes for sports now.
Mm-hmm. Somebody in the YouTube chat actually gets a point because Matthias Rovik says, "Is this Marbula 1?" This is Marbula 1, which is apparently the best sport that we've got because all the other.
Now, so I've seen a darts tournament now where the players are actually playing on in different buildings. So because darts, you don't actually have to be together to play.
Yeah.
That's true.
Then again, you're watching darts.
Don't shame on darts. Darts amazing.
I like watching darts when they're good. If the players suck.
Between watching darts and watching Yell's marble runs, there is only one actual option. Yell's marble runs are awesome. I mean, they've been doing this for years, but with the lockdown, their viewership has gone up by an order of magnitude. And these guys,
oh my god!
Can I ask a question? Isn't this computer graphics? Or is this real? It kind of looks like a Lego board.
This is real. Let's have a look. So we've
got
some actual.
And so we'll skip the qualifying. The qualifying was very dramatic with Deep Ocean crashing out at the last corner. So he's lined up on the back there, just behind the misty green raspberry.
I can actually
swirl.
hear the commentary. They go rolling in Jakarta. Good start from Kachita. Kachita going around the track, and there they are. And there's a very quick attack, and Stratify is pulling out into the front there. It happened so quickly. Look at the reflexes on that. The gap is opening up. Look at the way they're taking the corners back around, and at the end of lap 1 as they come through to the second one. Now look at this. Look at the thing they built to time the lap times of the marbles as they set out on lap 2. What this basically proves more than anything is that 99% of what makes live sport interesting is actually nothing to do with what's happening. It's the amount of energy coming through the commentators, who are people who are streets ahead of the rest of us when it comes to sitting by themselves in a quiet room and getting really, really excited despite the fact that they can't see or hear their audience. It's just like giving a live streamed keynote, only with this you get Lego and marbles to play with when you're finished.
If you want to see more of that, you can just go to YouTube. It's Yell's Marble Runs channel on YouTube, and you can thank me later when you've just gone down a rabbit hole.
I really recommend.
That is, of course, Yell spelt with a J. Because let's go English and your photographic pronunciation. All right, let's have a look at another detail.
It was me after I left the men's room just now.
Too much information, dude.
TMI, Carl. TMI. This is.
You're the one with a dirty mind. I said completely acceptable English, and your head went somewhere else. I don't know.
Well, that is.
This is what needs to be done to the Boston.
So this is for Richard's team.
Do you know the news story?
Do I know the news story? Yeah. That's 82 cans of beans, film at 11.
Richard, that was my joke.
This is actually
Canadian version.
We have shared a brain for 10 years, friend. Why would it stop now?
So this is actually...
Oh, go ahead, Danny.
I think it's somebody who tries to put too many people on Zoom without that people being professional ITers.
Okay.
I thought this is what happens if you try and join 9 Slack workspaces from the same MacBook. That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's also possible.
Insert catastrophe.
Just out of interest, let's go for a quick round the panel here. What is the total number of messaging channels? Because I'm in 33 Slack workspaces, 5 Discord servers. I have 4 different email addresses, plus Telegram, WhatsApp, Signal, Zoom, Skype, WebEx, Google Hangouts, and BlueJeans. And we're doing this on something which isn't even any of those because we're doing this on vMix.
You know, if there was some kind of aggregator that could put all those sources together, it would go like... You wouldn't be able to read it. There's no way. It would be a great tool
brilliant.
as long as people would shut up.
I'd get it live streamed to the guy who does the commentary on the marble races, and I just get him to tell me what's going on. And it'd be like, and it's in the inbox and in the email inbox, it's Jacob Bradford saying, is the keynote ready for NDC? And over here, it's Heather talking about one of the sponsors. It's Carl Franklin. Want to know Carl Franklin soundcheck? Can you do Carl Franklin? Richard Campbell's on the other side. Are you going to be joining a session about Venus and colonizing Venus? And Layla's on the back wanting to know what time the soundcheck is. Denny wants to check his headphones. And there's Sarah. Sarah needs to check her NDC talk. And it's time for the panel show. Panel show's going live. I could actually cope with that. I just have that on in the background. It'd be like, lose email, lose WhatsApp, lose Signal, the whole thing. It'd just be like working with the horse racing on.
That's
maybe it's
the
time.
concept of your head anyway, Dylan. That's what's going on in there all the time. Except every third word should be beer. And beer.
Why would you say the word beer? That means you're using your mouth for an activity other than drinking it.
You know what this really is? This is 2 seconds after Elon said, "Don't press that button."
I think you might be onto something here.
I think you're
might
getting
also
close
be
to that.
live footage from when I tried. I'm growing chilies. That's my quarantine activity. So this was me trying the first one.
All right, very close to my joke, but not quite.
Still different.
You know how the Scoville scale works?
Yeah.
Like the scale they use to measure the heat of chili is you take 1 gram of the chili and then you have to mix it. And like 1 Scoville means you mix the chili with a liter of like bland sauce, like mayonnaise. And then you give someone, this is the chili mayonnaise and this is the regular mayonnaise. You see if they can tell the difference. And it's like the top, there's like 50,000, 100,000 Scovilles, like a Scotch bonnet. I don't know who's out there mixing 100,000 liters of mayonnaise and then giving it to someone and going, this one or that, can you tell the difference?
I mean, I used to work at a student pub. I mixed a lot of mayonnaise.
This is why Hellman stayed in business during the whole lockdown. Otherwise nobody would be eating mayonnaise.
It's the National Bureau of Chili Statistics keeping them in business.
Well,
I think it's a grandma that received from their grandson a new Mac Pro, and some people say on the internet that the Mac Pro is like a cheese grape, and the grandma in their kitchen, so the Mac Pro was on, and she really tried to cut cheese with it, and the Mac didn't like that.
Awfully sharp.
Allegedly.
I need another one.
Okay.
Let's have a look. What's actually going on here? So this is one of the nice things about working in software is when you say to your team, the launch didn't work. Normally what it means is that the computer program didn't start when the computer program was supposed to start. Let's see what a failed launch actually looks like for people who really launch real launchy things.
Ouch.
There it goes. Look at that.
Oh my
Isn't
God.
it fantastic? So that, of course, is the Starship prototype SN4 exploding on the launch pad. As
it was actually after a fuel test.
prototype.
They were doing they were testing the quick disconnects on the fuel lines, which is part of it launching.
They weren't quick enough.
And they quick disconnected and did not close and dumped all of the liquid methane fuel on the ground.
When was this, Richard?
Oh, that'll do it.
Like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
It was actually the same day that
Guy
SpaceX
Fawkes Day.
launched people into space. Right? Like, it's a tough mix, right? The same day they successfully launched humans into space on a Falcon 9, they messed up the quick disconnects.
Somebody mentioned Guy Fawkes Day. Who is that, Layla?
Yeah, I will ask if it's. I imagine several Brits on the call list if this is what you call Guy Fawkes Day.
Right. Similar, but
Guy
different.
Fawkes Day is a really strange holiday where we celebrate somebody failing to blow up the Houses of Parliament by blowing things up.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's about torture, I seem to remember as well.
It's the most English thing
they
ever.
downplay that a little bit, but you know.
I'm planning a different celebration for November this year.
This is me when people tells me to calm down.
Oh.
Relatable.
Noted.
All right, let's do another one. So this is another detail from a story that's been in the news. We're going to send us over to Carl, Elin, and Layla. What is this?
V2 of Red and Green on Computer Weekly. Yeah.
Well, Richard ought to know because that's the Red Green Show version 2 from Canadian. Watch this.
Whistlers. Canadian Whistlers because it's made of wood.
Everybody know the Red Green Show?
This is how they spell R2D2 in Canadian.
Very Canadian.
Yeah.
This is Canadian for R2D2. RGV2. Sorry.
All right. Now we're going to hook up this chainsaw to a bottle opener. We'll see what happens.
So we did hear a rumor that this was a new recommendation from Troy Hunt, that the best way to store passwords securely was to carve them in cherry wood and keep them on a shelf. Because it turns out cherry wood, it's quite difficult to get it in data breaches because it's very dense. So it tends to sink to the bottom of the data lake, and then all the other data washes out, and that's what ends up on Pirate Bay. Obviously. I'm going to zoom out a little more because I think even showing you the whole picture here might still leave an element of mystery.
Look at that.
The story. So you know who this guy is.
You know, that's Megamind.
Nice.
And
it is.
I thought that was Mark Miller.
It's the Dungeon Master from the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
And how true that has turned out to be for all of us.
Megamind dyed his head flesh tone, white flesh tone, Indian. Right, never mind.
So this is
Satya
Nadella, the CEO. So did any of you watch Microsoft Build? Like that was just amazing. All the big, there's conferences that are kind of, little scrappy conferences where you get like 100 people together for a couple of days. And there's conferences which, like NDC, which are sort of, 1,000, 1,500 people. And, it's this nice balance of very slick professionalism and people who just enjoy hanging out and chatting. And then there's the really the big shiny conferences like the Worldwide Developer Conference and the G8 Google thing. And almost all of them were like, we can't be shiny without, with the whole coronavirus, let's just cancel it. And Microsoft were like, oh no, we're bringing the shiny. And did you see it?
Yeah,
I saw it.
And it's really shiny that they did it.
I thought this was Niall's password.
Password? Oh, maybe.
Well, it's Satch's
maybe,
I think it is.
What is it?
But then is the question, why is Satya showing the password of Niall? That's a really strange question.
It's the best way to hide in plain sight. Actually, I bet Niall $5 that I couldn't put the root password for Capgemini's system in front of 200,000 people and no one would figure out what it was for 5 days. Niall, you owe me $5, mate. Or a down payment on one installment of a Norwegian beer next time I'm over.
Yeah, right.
In
The
2029.
floppy and the 5 1/4-inch floppy and the 3.5-inch floppy on the lower shelf.
That's an 8-inch.
Yeah, look at that.
It's an 8-inch, and yes.
An 8-inch,
An
8
8-inch,
5 and a 3.5. Yeah.
Neat.
No, I'm curious. Go on.
Who goes? This is so okay. So the best part about Build was speakers who turned in the middle of the night from Redmond, in their garage with their daughters, tricycle in the background, let's talk about VS Code. That was
That was awesome, honestly. But Build was a very accessible experience for everyone. You could attend for free. You just had to turn your nights into days and say to all your neighbors, please don't disturb this period. And then you just binge watch and binge watch and binge watch. until you have an eye disease.
Niall's in the Facebook.
Nothing wrong with that?
He says he's going to have to change his password now.
Well, I think it's a good thing to do this right now.
Yeah, Build was seriously impressive. They did a great job on it. But this, now I'm kind of really interested in whether like this is just like Satya Nadella's shelf or whether he had a team of brand consultants.
Somebody made that up.
Yeah.
That is the base 64 encoding of the word devs. And it's like the geekiest idea ever to actually you have to figure that out.
That sounds
I did
right.
quite like that. Do you remember when was it Randall Munroe from XKCD did a thing about punch card encoding? You know the story?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Because Rich, fill us in because I have forgotten the details. But you know the one
I
I mean.
I remember the details. I remember him telling the story when we were together in when he keynoted at, was it in Sweden?
Or Dev, yeah.
Was it Ordev? Yeah.
It was,
He did the
yep.
keynote in Malmo.
We got
He
to
told
interview
that
him on
story.
stage. And there was about 10 people in the audience.
On stage. The keynote was packed.
Keynote was packed, but our interview with him, there was about 10 people.
Yeah.
Because they had us
Also,
doing the interviews while the
He's a real introvert. We play at being introverts. I mean, we're all introverts to some degree, but it took him a whole day to get ready for that keynote, and he did not leave his room again after the keynote for another day.
Right.
It was everything the man could do to put, and he was brilliant. Like, he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
But it exhausted him. It was everything he could do.
Those stick figures are very carefully crafted. It takes him a long time to draw that comic.
Well, if it's that easy to draw, why is he famous and not you?
Because what actually takes the time is thinking of clever ideas to put in the comic.
Yeah.
This is Randall Munroe, who draws the XKCD comic strip, and he's somebody I love his work dearly.
He is a genius.
And he wrote a book, which some of you may have seen, which was it started as a poster. It was Upgoer 5. It was, can you describe the moon landings using only the 1,000 most common words in English?
Wow.
And it had this part of the spaceship had a bad problem, and you will not go to space today, kind of stuff.
That's great.
But yes, this is... Satya Nadella had the word devs in base 64 encoding carved in cherry wood on a shelf behind him for his keynote at Build last month. Let's have a look at another detail. So I've already lost track of which team is which. This is...
I think this is
this is Richard's team.
Oh,
this
really?
is Richard's team.
This is the switchboard at NDC
yeah.
trying to manage all of these conference talks and all the channels and the WebEx. So yeah, it's all those little lights are lighting up when people are live.
That is absolutely right. The green lights.
I think it's the Ninja Turtles having a party.
No.
I think it was Richard's turn, but so we just gave him the answer.
Yeah.
Oh, you did? I would have gone for a refinery of nerds.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
kind
It's
of
very it's not a bad guess.
think-
It's actually it's the feedback for my talk tomorrow morning, which I've already hacked, and I'm getting all greens.
I even think if you think about a refinery of nerds, it says beyond Earth, deep into Earth, the fabric that they really make the best nerds. And when they are ready, when they are nerdy enough, they come whoop to the Earth.
whoop. I like that.
Could it be like a
From
Norwegian
below the
version
Earth,
of Mario?
whoop to the Earth if
Do
you
that
are
again.
nerd enough.
Everybody go whoop. I like that.
Oh my God. Whoop.
Yep.
Whoop.
So it looks like somebody dipped their darts in green glow stuff and then just started playing a very accurate game against the backdrop of Oslo.
See, I
Or
thought
like
this
a
might
very
be like
Norwegian version of Mario, because they have a lot of oil here.
They do have a lot
Yeah,
of
that's
oil
kind of
here.
the
There's
vibe.
definitely oil involved. You're getting closer. So this is Sim Refinery.
This is a
I
real
learned
thing.
something.
Back in the day, Maxis, before Maxis were huge and had the Sims and everything and were just one of the biggest game studios in the world, They were struggling a bit for money, and so they had a Maxis Business Simulations division, which
So I'm actually
reached
going
out
to chat
to...
that. Niels Norman Haukos in the YouTube chat has actually said it's a missing copy of Sims Refinery which was found.
Yes.
Because of the latency, I don't know whether he got that before or after we revealed the answer. So we're going to give the YouTubers a point for this.
Send him a beer.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Upload it.
But yeah, Maxis worked with Chevron to create a simulation version of the actual control panels for their refineries, so that employees could learn to control a refinery on, I'm guessing, probably a 386 desktop PC. And then they could be put in charge of an actual refinery in the Gulf of Mexico. No, wait, that was BP, wasn't it?
I'm gonna show my age now. I'm gonna call bullshit on the 386. I think this is a 286 because if you can see closely,
1992. Yeah.
1992. But also, if you look at the display output there, that looks to me like 320 by 200, 256 color VGA. And by the time the 386 was established, the 640 by 480 was the more established resolution.
Yeah, no,
Do
okay,
you
I'll give you
remember
that.
92?
Yeah.
I'm cheating. I'm
Wow.
looking it up. In 1992 is when the 486 was released, so there could be a 386.
Okay, so 1992 1992 is when I wrote my first web page. That's how old I am, or rather how precocious I was. So the World Wide Web was invented, and in 92 I actually did some HTML when I was doing work experience at a computer lab at the university in Bristol.
Wow.
And I put it on the actual World Wide Web. And years later, I'm like, there were probably only about 100 pages on the World Wide Web at that point. And one of them was the minutes of the departmental meeting that they got the work experience kit to turn into HTML using Vim and then FTP it to the web server. So, yeah.
What was that?
I knew you were a rock star.
What was that? What was one of the first browsers before Netscape?
Mosaic.
Before Netscape.
No,
Mosaic.
before that. Before that. Oh, Cello. Cello.
Cello.
Do you remember Cello?
I remember Cello. I could tell you more about Cello. Written by Thomas Bruce, who was the chief librarian at Cornell University. He ran the library at the law school, and he wrote his own web browser that ran on Windows for fun. Because I have a whole talk that I did at NDC a couple of years ago about what would have happened if WordPerfect had merged with Digital Research and they'd ended up buying Cello to become GridPerfect, which became the alternate timeline dominant web browser.
Wow.
That's a lot of fun. I did that. I streamed that talk for .next for Tech Train in Russia on Saturday. It's a lot of fun. I might dust it off and tweak it a bit. There was Cello. There was Opera, which started out as an experiment by the Norwegian Telecoms company. There was Mosaic. There was there's another one which I've forgotten the name of. Yes, this was Sim Refinery, which was Mark. What was Sim Refinery?
So yes, it was an effort with Maxis Business Simulations and Chevron to create something to train people who were going to manage real refineries.
So
They
cool.
have how many gigatons of carbon dioxide do you want to dump today, Noah?
Yes, exactly. How many seals would you like to simulate the killing of?
As long as it's a 16-bit number, you can simulate it.
Yeah.
If you want to kill a lot of wildlife, you're going to need that coprocessor.
Signed or unsigned?
Okay. Welcome to
All
8
right.
Nerds Geek Out.
So at the end of that round, it is 1 point to Carl's team and 1 point to Richard's team.
Great.
Because
And,
we're randomly assigning points.
4 points to the people watching on YouTube who seem to be getting everything right.
Yeah.
I think they
We
cheat,
got-
indeed.
How can they cheat? How could they possibly be cheating?
Looking
They're
up on
watching
the
YouTube.
internet, we cannot look up
Kind of like the
because they are looking to us, and they are looking in
Sorry?
the yeah, they are cheating.
Are you suggesting that the people watching on YouTube have got a browser window open? That would just be wrong.
Maybe,
They would not do that.
maybe.
Shocked.
So everyone
No way.
Oh, you are so. Oh, sorry,
who's
sorry.
out there in the chat watching this on YouTube, just drop in a line and tell me, are you watching this? Are you at your desk with a computer? Are you watching it on TV, on your couch with some snacks? Are you watching it on your phone outside? Just tell us where you're coming in from. And drop in the country as well. Let's make this interesting and international.
not? Why not?
And see
The
what
ones who are
we
watching
can
it-
get.
Yeah.
The ones who are
But
watching
my
it on their
buddy
TV on their
Shahid,
couch
yeah.
with snacks are going to be typing the thing into the chat with their television remote control, so their messages will actually come up at about 11:30.
Yeah, snacks trump everything.
It did not occur to me that the people who are actually enjoying the entertainment are in no position to type anything. But I guarantee they've got their phones open right now, and they are complaining about us on Twitter for, I don't know. Let's play another round.
They do.
Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe they always do.
Whose turn is it?
So it's got Carl's team go first. We got one round each, alphabetical order.
All right.
So this round is called Catch Exception. What we're going to do is we're going to show you 4 things. One of these things is not like the other things. We want you to figure out which is the odd one out and why. So Carl's team, your 4 are...
You had an extra curly brace, so that's the first exception.
Oh, all right. that is...
Point to us, bonus point to us.
Well, technically, we don't know what comes with 4.
No, bonus point to our team.
And honestly,
I don't think that's fair.
I think there's another
no
fault.
exception variable
Wait.
So
There is another very important fault.
that's 2.
The comment should be with the tab without a space. The intention of the comment to handle this is a space, and it should be a tab. So that's a big fault.
All right.
But no, this is actually taking advantage of ECMAScript 2020's automatic try statement insertion.
No, that's not going to fly.
Okay. All right, what's the question?
I want to read some of the comments that we got in the chat here, because we got some folks telling us what. So this is who we got. We got Andreas is watching us on his phone, waiting for the baby to sleep. Kodafatan is drinking beer in his basement with us on a projector. That's pretty cool. Like if we go, we're going to be really, really big on the wall in your house right now. He's out in his yard in the USA watching on a phone. Bjarne Gerhard Pedersen is on a TV on a sofa in Denmark. Hey, Bjarne. Jonas Jakobsen is on his phone in Norway. The Norwegian phone company invented a web browser once. True story. Rival Thompson is streaming on his TV. Cliff Agius is watching on his desk on his laptop in the UK. We've got Emu Fear. There's a point where you're reading names and you're like, I don't know if this is somebody's nickname or it's just a name from like a culture I'm unfamiliar with. I'm going to assume that Emu Fear means somebody who's afraid of emus, but if I got that wrong, I do apologize. From the sofa in Oslo. Hannes, hey Hannes is working on slides for tomorrow. It's just, who would prepare their slides the night before a talk, Hannes? What kind of negligent behavior is honestly...
Nobody does that.
Who does
You should be ashamed.
We got Svish85 on a desktop computer. McKenna Celine is on a 4-monitor PC in the USA. They have 4
Eric's
monitors in
watching
the
from
USA.
his desk in Nairobi. People are everywhere. This is great.
Oh, awesome! This is cool. Smart TV keyboard with a trackpad. A gaming PC man cave in Oslo. Richard is in Norway and he's watching it in bed on a big TV. Like, does it freak anyone else that somebody is watching us in bed right now? Like,
okay.
At least they're in bed watching us, and they're not watching us in bed.
Every once in a while, somebody says to Richard and I, I fall asleep with you guys every night.
I mean,
sometimes I really have compassion with some people.
I'm in bed right now. I got a green screen duvet set, so I can put on anything I want.
I love it.
Genius.
All right, what's the question?
All right, we should probably do some quiz. So
yeah.
Question 1, round 1. Now that we've concluded the code review and user outreach process, is helium balloons the Hebrew language, software developer, and the Spanish verb haber, meaning to have? Which one is the odd one out, and why?
The obvious question that if this was QI would generate a klaxon sound is that the software developer is the odd one out because everything else starts with H.
Is actually on the right track.
Yes.
Okay. There's that annoying orange again.
That is the annoying orange.
Is it
Back.
HE, like the symbol?
It is to do with HE.
Not the fact that developers and helium balloons are full of gas.
But then you're going to pick which one you think is full of gas, Spanish or Hebrew, and I wouldn't
The
go
orange,
there.
the annoying orange.
The annoying orange.
But if you talk about
Hebrew.
Oh my God.
That's all I got.
So
man.
the odd one out. Anything you want to, Richard and Sarah and Danny, you want to have a crack at this one?
Yeah, I was going to go down the squeaky
I
path
would say
voice
helium
without
because
leaving
it
Hebrew out.
floats.
There you go.
I think
Nothing
it's
to do
again.
with squeaky voices.
I think it's the Mandarin who want to take helium to become an orange.
Mandarin takes helium,
Yes.
becomes an orange, which
Ah,
would make the odd one out.
helium.
The odd one. So
Well, I think it's
Wow,
helium
this is
because
difficult.
that's the fun thing.
You think
Well,
helium
the
is
chat
good?
is saying penguins.
Helium is fun.
The other three, other than
Somebody is
helium,
watching us
have
while
to do
putting
with
their
languages.
8-day-old baby to sleep.
Nice.
That kid is going to grow up with issues.
So
Oh, yeah.
helium. I say helium because the others involve languages.
It's close,
yes.
but the actual answer, the correct answer to this, is the software developer, because it is acceptable to refer to all of the others as he in Google.
Oh,
This is the inclusive
Congratulations.
language coding guidelines from the Google Chromium project, which says that coders are advised to avoid the gendered pronoun he, but it is okay if it refers to helium, the ISO code for Hebrew, or the first person conjugation of the Spanish verb haber, as we all know.
okay.
I don't know whether that's just Google being ridiculously sort of precise and detailed, or because if they say you can't use he in your documentation, they will immediately get a bunch of pedantic developers going, but I need to specify the chemical symbol for helium. And
Yeah, that's
so-
it's the exception.
You know
list
it's the
that's-
latter.
I suspect that it's, to really change the way people think, you've got to cover three bases with what you're doing. You've got to have the good idea of, like, if we all did this, the world would be a better place. Then you need a source of authority for the people who won't do it unless they've got a manual to beat you with if you disagree with them. And then you need to preempt the edge cases, the Twitter trolls who are going to go, oh, but if you say I cannot use this in my documentation, I cannot talk about how to conjugate the gas in Hebrew. And you're like, no, we've covered that. That's in the manual. You read the manual, you read the manual. The rest of you just do what the people who read the manual told you to do, and we'll actually make this better for everybody. So,
Right.
Awesome.
Good enough.
next up, we have... So this is Richard's team. Richard, Sarah, and Danny. What is the odd one out here? We have sunglasses, engine oil, HTTPS certificates, and honey. And one of these things...
Honey, it's the only one that isn't vegan.
Nice.
Funny.
Yeah. Well, actually, you could... I mean, where does engine oil come from? Engine oil is basically dead plants
Petroleum.
and animals
That's
that
true.
have, petrolified. Richard, what's the correct term for what happens there? You'll know this.
Gotten really old.
Decomposed.
petrified.
Yeah.
Petrified. No,
Petrolified.
petrolified.
I think the only thing who is really, really safe in this picture, really, really safe, are sunglasses. HTTPS is not so safe as you think. Honey, you can become too fat, eat too much honey. And oil, everyone know, that can explode. So sunglasses are really safe.
You could burn your eyes
I
without
like it.
sunglasses, man.
Yeah, yeah. Also, oh my
But they're
God, maybe
protective.
it's
They're not
Ray-Ban.
dangerous.
I think Ray-Ban is really good. I think it's Ray-Ban that's really quality.
If we were in Oslo right now, the Ray-Ban wayfarers would be very much in evidence.
Absolutely.
I'm wearing
Well,
Ray-Bans.
you know, there is a security element here because honey's also antibacterial, right? I mean, in emergencies, if you need to protect a wound, you can use honey for that. Obviously, sunglasses protect your eyes, and HPS is supposed to protect your surfing, but we can talk about that. So I guess the odd one out is oil.
No, oil protects your engine. I would say honey.
So we got some answers coming in from the YouTube chat. We got people saying honey is the only one that doesn't provide protection of some sort. We got Mockman saying HTTPS has to go, everything else is carbon-based. Honey is the only one that's natural. It is, so the before we give it away, Carl, team, do you want to take a guess? You want to throw in some ideas here?
So I'm going to go with honey because oil protects your engine, sunglasses protect your eyes, HTTPS protects your data in transit. So I'm going to say honey is the odd one out.
Layla, Elin, you're on the right track, but you haven't got the right reason yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, Ray-Bans, well, those kind of Ray-Bans protect you from being picked up when you're at the pub, because everyone is wearing them, and no one wants to.
Hipsters don't like oil, but they do like their hipster glasses. They are always harping on about HTTPS and HTTPS, and they like natural stuff like honey. So oil, which is anti-hipster.
You think oil is not what hipsters don't like? So the odd one out is actually, it is honey, but it's because honey is the only one that doesn't expire. Now, the news story here is from somebody called Scott Helm. Does anyone know who Scott Helm is? I have no idea who this guy is. Who is Scott Helm?
No idea.
Something is happening in the wonderful world of technology, which is that the first wave of devices that were shipped with embedded root certificates that were like, well, they'll last for 20 years, nobody will run an internet TV for that long, are starting to expire. And this is causing problems because some of these things are so old that they don't actually have the certification chain that is necessary to upgrade the certificate they've got to the one that they can trust to get the one they need to do the one they need to do the one they need to do the one they need to watch Netflix. The other things here, so not a lot of people know this. HTTPS, obviously, these certificates are starting to expire. Sunglasses go off. The ultraviolet protection on sunglasses, if you keep them in storage for too long, they don't protect you anymore.
Wow.
And engine oil also has a best before date. It does actually start to denature, and it's not safe. But honey never goes off.
Never.
Never.
They have recovered.
They have recovered honey from archaeological sites. Yeah.
Okay. And then they're like, hey. That's pretty good.
There's people who have found honey in Egyptian tombs sealed into clay pots, and obviously the first thing they thought was, toast, and ate it. And
this was during the period when Winnie the Pooh was running the Nile expedition, right?
Yes, exactly. In the 1920s.
They just snap off a finger off one of the mummies because they were into desecrating it all back then, and they dip the honey, the mummy finger in the honey,
and you got a crunchy snack.
That's where we get the expression. That's where we get the expression. Tell them about the honey mummy.
Is that an expression? I don't know. At the end of that round, everybody's winning, but YouTube is frankly schooling all of us when it comes to knowing weird stuff about technology and everything.
As well as good.
So we're going to try and beat the entire internet. It's you three, and it's 148 people with access to the total sum of all human knowledge ever connected via a network of terabit fiber optic cables running under the oceans of the Earth. I'm betting on Team YouTube, but let's see how it unfolds, because the next round is called The Commitments. Tell us about the commitments, Mark.
So, for the commitments, we are going to show you a series of commit messages from public repositories on GitHub. If you can guess the repository on the first message, we will give you 5 points. If you guess it on the second message, we will give you 4 points. If you don't guess it till the last message, we will give you 1 point. And if you don't guess it at all, then you're disqualified. And you'll never be allowed to be in this quiz again.
Go for it.
Or just no points.
So let's mix it up. We'll do Richard's team
Go
first.
with Richard's team first, yes.
So, Richard, Sarah, and Denny, which repository featured the commit message? Oops.
That's every repository on the planet.
Every repository ever.
At least anything I've been involved in.
It doesn't narrow it down. Make an educated
was
guess.
the software engineer.
I think it's the repository of something that shouldn't be published.
Vista.
By example, a not open source project, but just being open source, and then oops, it happens.
Oh no! I accidentally MIT licensed my software and clicked the public button on GitHub.
This is the object-oriented permissive systems license, aka we weren't supposed to share that license.
Okay, second message.
That's funny.
Wow. All right, you've definitely narrowed it down now. That seems like Signal R. That's something David Fowler would write.
Did the Foo Fighters release an album on GitHub? No.
Maybe
we got
it's the lyrics of the new album of the Foo Fighters, and then oops,
Somebody
it shouldn't be published yet.
Oops. Create Foo.
Somebody did recently make an album entirely using Sonic Pi, and they uploaded the source code to GitHub and made it open source.
That wasn't
No,
me.
it wasn't.
I'm not that
Dylan.
good at Sonic Pi.
No, it was an actual musician.
Ooh.
That is dark.
You think these are props, do you?
It was a rock star.
You think this is a
musician.
virtual background that I downloaded from Flickr?
Yes, you're lying in bed with a green screen. That's stock photography. Okay, if you didn't get it from
Actually,
that one, the third message will definitely give it away for you.
There you go.
I think this is what happened when Dave Grohl fell off the stage.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
Yeah,
Delete.
I'm quite sure you are right.
It was
it
Kurt
only could be
Cobain
this.
frantically sending commits from heaven.
Are these out of order?
Yeah, also possible.
Is it create foo,
Are
oops,
these-
and then delete foo? Are they out of order?
So the
in the
collation
actual-
here
when I was
is...
Yeah, when I was looking through them on GitHub, create foo, and then there were like 3 commits in between, and then there was delete foo. Because obviously somebody else had already committed, so they couldn't just revert foo back out again. So they had to go in.
These Xamarin Forms 1.0?
Well,
no.
let's look at another one.
Oh.
So we've narrowed down the language for you guys. You
Mono.
should be able to get this now.
Mono.
I mean, come on, how many
Yeah,
C# repos are there on GitHub?
Mono, 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 mono.
I think it's a repo from Heather Downing because he did the Hello World show.
Oh, Scott, Sean
It
Wildermuth.
only could be this.
Yeah.
Sean Wildermuth.
That-
So
that's
yeah,
a good
Heather
guess,
and
but-
no, it was Heather and Spencer Schneidenbach. The Hello World show was their thing for a little while.
Yeah, it's something about the Hello World show.
And it launched at
But no-
NDC Oslo 3 years ago, 2017. I remember it well.
Why
Oh,
did
is it?
I miss that?
It's all right. There'll be
Okay.
more. There is more fun things to come.
For the 1 point we're actually expecting you to get. Some refactoring of fancy zones :
right.
is interesting window.
Well, we know it's C++.
Is this a Windows project? Windows 10?
It's related to Windows
I said
10.
it was Vista a long time ago.
Yeah,
Not
we know.
about this one.
We were all
Yeah,
ready to
we
pretend
know.
you hadn't done that, but you just had to bring it up again, didn't you?
Well, you know, it was a little bit funny. A little bit funny.
You'll
Vista
be
is
pleased
not
to
a
know that
general
somebody on the
purpose
internet
punchline.
has got it. Everybody
You
on the
cannot
internet has
make
got it.
Oh, everybody on the internet has got it. You've been schooled by people who are watching this
is.
with 28 seconds of latency.
Nice.
It is from
A
Microsoft Power
fancy
Toys.
zone.
Power toy.
Power toy.
Power Toys.
Power
So
Toys.
Power Toys
Microsoft
has the
Power
Fancy
Toys.
Zones feature, which lets you position your windows in interesting configurations and save those configurations and then reapply them whenever you want to.
When you say interesting, you mean because it's an interesting window?
I have no idea what that method does. I just looked at the commit message.
Nice.
I just want to think that every time you open a new Google Chrome tab, it randomly assigns it one of the Tetris shapes, and it just moves it down your screen every 2 minutes. And so you're like, oh, move that one sideways. I don't need those anymore. And poof, you lose a row of browser tabs because they build up over the day. And the thing, like Tetris is like life. Your successes disappear and your failures build up until they overwhelm you. I think we need to apply the same strategy to Chrome tab management. So
sounds good.
So yes, that was from github.com/Microsoft/PowerToys. And if you haven't downloaded it, it's worth it just for PowerToys.
Niall says, Richard, are you drinking tea?
I am.
Like most civilized Canadians.
Is that hot tea made according to the recipe that we've all seen on the internet?
.NET rocks. Oh, .NET rocks.
Do not talk about that recipe.
It's
what is it we're not talking about, Layla?
It says I should be drinking it, and nothing in it because it doesn't need anything.
The woman on the TikTok video with her, I assume, daughter, microwaving the cup of tea, waving a tea bag at it after she's splashed some milk into it, like this much milk. I shouldn't say some milk, like nearly all milk, and then waving a tea bag at it, and then this is how you make tea. That recipe on the internet, that horrific.
Today we're going to show you how to make hot tea. It's like, no, you're not. Today you're going to commit a cultural travesty that goes back to throwing tea in the harbor all those years ago. Like that made a better cup of tea than what you just put on TikTok. But there you go. Tea is very controversial. Did you know there's an ANSI standard for? It's a British standard, isn't it, for making tea?
Yes, there is.
It has an appendix in it. It has an appendix in it for adjustments for altitude.
Oh, there is the RFC of I'm a little teapot too, but that's a different thing.
Yes. What is it? That HTTP 418. I'm a teapot.
Mm-hmm.
That's going off topic. We were talking about blasphemous tea making.
Yes.
Tails are like that.
Where I come from, we have another standard. We have like this much tea, and then you fill the cup up with moonshine. So that's how we make it, right?
Oh, well, that sounds much better.
Almost the British way.
Yeah. Like tea, but
tea's only good if it can set fire to it.
Let's see some more commit messages. So we're going to send this one over to Carl's team. Carl, Ilin, and Layla, what project did this come from?
Bootstrap.
What's the one from Google? What's the typing from Google there?
Roboto.
No, it's not just typeface. It's the whole
material design.
Material design.
Yeah.
No, it's not material design.
Okay.
Let's try another one.
Doc found carrot.
This might be from Dragon Humpers.
That's a different thing entirely.
Is this from Dragon Humpers? Do you know about Dragon Humpers? Do you guys know?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mark Miller and Karen Mangicotti host a virtual Dungeons and Dragons game on Twitch called Dragon Humpers with a couple of other friends, and it's hilarious. It's kind of like Mondays, but nobody brings a bit. It's just like this.
Yeah.
Without the actual content.
Niall wants to speak to the manager. Thank you, Niall. This is Matthias says this is Microsoft Bob. Adam Dimitriuk says it's awesome font. Patrizio is we think probably searching GitHub commit repositories. Either that or this is
who's Karen?
Yeah, right.
And does she know she's in a repository forever?
If you could just figure out who Karen was, you'd know what the app was.
I don't know.
Okay, next message.
Enable pedantic static analysis.
Pedantic.
Oh, okay. The pedants are out. Karen is a pedant.
The three kinds of typing, there's statically typed, dynamically typed, and pedantically typed. which is a language where you go parsint and it goes, I don't think that's a good number. I think you should pick a better number.
Yes.
Great. It's just like normal static analysis, except the messages say, I think what you meant to do here was.
Yeah. Yes. You do like int32.parse, and it's like, I know you're using int32, but actually int64 has been proven to have better floating point operation on modern cloud systems, so we're going to do that instead.
You're welcome.
Sounds like
That doesn't help you
fact,
get
Facebook
what read
from
with
the
it.
YouTube.
And things.
Okay,
one
let's
thing
look at
is
another
really
one.
sure. One thing is really sure. It is enabling.
Enabling.
It's,
You think
It
Static
enables
analysis
something.
doesn't need any more enabling. What about this one? Feet. Use Mythbusters content on Mythbusters page. I have no idea where you find these things, Mark. I really don't. I mean, I know GitHub, but
the thing is, you could just go to any repo and just if you go through the messages, you will find 5 silly ones. The one thing that is interesting though is
I think maybe you have been
navigating.
on lockdown for way too long.
Well, that is possible.
Yeah.
It can be.
I used the
5
binary
years now?
lookup technique to find the oldest commits. So, because you can change the page number at the end, and so I kind of go, show me page 10,000, and if it says there isn't a 10,000, I go, okay, show me page 5,000, and if there is that, then I go, show me page 7,500, and I can always get to the last page of the commit history in no more than 8 navigations. It's great.
I don't know if any of you were in the prize draw we did at lunchtime today. So for the NDC Expo, the virtual Expo website that we built, it's kind of nice because I got to build it, and it's a website that needs to stay up for 3 days. So it's a kind of interesting opportunity just to kind of do some real old school coding. And so the prize draw, I literally brought up a SQL query window live and showed them how to do a statistically random select top 1. And then a bunch of people are like, yeah, but tomorrow you have to use a different random number generator. So I now overnight have to come up with another way of doing statistically random numbers in SQL, and then I need a third one for Friday. That was kind of fun.
Roll the dice.
Update washing hands washing animation.
Wow.
It's got to be something to do with coronavirus.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Maybe the app from Australia that helps tracking coronavirus disease.
I think that gets a point. What is it, Mark?
It's actually from the World Health Organization's COVID-19 app. And the reason it uses pedantic static analysis is because it is written in Flutter, which uses Dart. And pedantic static analysis is a thing in Dart.
So do we get half a point?
So
No,
I think half a point to Denny for
yeah.
getting it was a thing, and half a point to Carl's team for getting it was something to do with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's not like I'm actually keeping track of who's got how many points.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Time for
Okay, so the next
Guess
one.
Who?
Guess who? So we have gone to each of the people on these teams and we asked them for a strange, unusual, or slightly embarrassing fact about themselves, and they've shared those. So we're going to show those facts, and the other team has to guess which person matches to which fact on the other team. So this should be fun.
Richard's team. These are 3 true facts about 3 people on Carl's team.
Nice.
One of those people still struggles with left and right. One of them had a drink with a miserable Bruce Willis in a nightclub, and one of them thought this quiz was actually tomorrow.
So they didn't send us
Who can do
unusual
this? Who
fact
thinks
about
this?
themselves.
And while you confer amongst yourselves, I'm going to run and grab a drink, and I will be back in like 18 seconds. Don't
Get me
go
one,
anywhere.
will you?
I'll join you.
All right. Thanks.
Well, I'm going to think that the quiz is actually tomorrow is not Carl because he's actually running the infrastructure for this, so you can't fake that.
Or can you?
Yeah, or can you?
It
That
shouldn't
seems
be.
unlikely.
It shouldn't be.
You would think.
Okay.
I
would think, but I would still vote for Carl.
For the
No, I
thought it
think
was
that
tomorrow.
Carl.
Yeah.
I think that Carl had a drink with the miserable Bruce Willis. I think that's something for Carl.
Okay.
Yeah, I could buy that. And the problem, of course, is that I've known Carl for a really long time. So the fact that he's never told me that story.
Okay, that's
It's
quite
tricky.
possible that it's not him. Yes, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
it can
that's the
be.
biggest problem with having us on this thing is he knows pretty much everything about me.
Indeed, yeah. So that's not Carl.
I don't know how clever. I'm going to go with this. I don't know how clever Mark is. Mark is the kind of guy who wouldn't actually randomize the order. So these might actually be in order of how they are on the screen too.
Well, I didn't decide what order people were going to be on in the screen, so.
I'm just amazed we got the right people on the right teams with the right facts on the right side.
At the right time.
There you go.
Yes.
That's already really, really good. Congratulations for you.
So I realize that all of you watching this live on YouTube think this is a really slick professional operation.
Yeah, it is.
I can't keep that up.
So Richard, you have a final answer then for your team?
Rian, there's a little bit of time dilation because my staircase.
Are you on board with the order just matching up with the people?
Yeah. So who struggles with left and right?
I'm going to put that on Carl.
Okay. And who had a drink with a miserable Bruce Willis in a nightclub?
And I'm sorry, my name just jumped out of my head at this very moment.
That'd be Elin in the middle.
Elin? Yeah, all right. Did you ever hang out with Bruce Willis? And
Me?
then
Don't tell him,
Elin.
No, I think it's Lila. I think it's
Possible.
Lila had a drink with Bruce Willis.
You think so? You want to switch those two? Okay. We'll put Carl with
Yeah,
left
we'll
and
switch
right.
those.
We'll put Elam with the Thought with Quiz was tomorrow, and put Bruce Willis on
Yeah.
Layla.
Okay.
How do we do?
Okay.
Sounds good.
So Carl's
Very
team,
bad.
which one of you still struggles with left and right?
That would be me.
That would be
Down.
But there's a really fun story behind it because when I was going to learn left and right, they told me that right is the hand you write with and left is the hand you where you watch. And I wrote with both hands and I kept my watch. I wore my watch on the right hand. So there's a reason for that.
Right.
perfectly valid reason.
Bad advice.
Really good excuse, I know.
Okay, so
Who had a-
which of you had a drink with a miserable Bruce Willis in a nightclub?
It was me.
Yeah, I was right.
So that means
You got to tell us that story.
I can tell you that story.
Yes, go on. You want to hear about miserable Bruce
all right.
Willis?
So I was in this nightclub with my friend Bernie, and Bernie's school friend said, "Come and sit with me. I'm here with my boyfriend." So we were like, okay. We went and sat with her. We went up into the VIP area. We're like, oh, okay, this is nice. I wonder who her boyfriend is. Oh, it's Bruce Willis. Okay, so we sat down. They'd had a fight. So he was sat like over on that sofa, like miserable as sin, like with a drink, like looking around. This is post-demi. And he's just looking there. He didn't say much word. But I'm sat on the middle, so there's like 3 sofas, and so he's over there. I'm on the middle one with my friend Bernie, I'm sitting next to Bruce, basically, and my friend Bernie's sitting next to her friend, who's like, oh my god, he's like, we've had a fight, and, yeah, that whole thing. So, yeah, that's where I sat with the miserable Bruce Willis. He just sat there sipping his drink for about an hour while I'm sitting there going, la 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 la.
was it a Seagram's and Ginger? And was he playing an acoustic guitar?
He wasn't playing an acoustic guitar. He was sat there listening to thumping Euro music. So, yeah, it was in Spain. So, he was just sat there with his, like, forearms like this. Very miserable.
There is something something immensely validating about the fact that there are places on this planet where the VIP area is just as horrible as the rest of the establishment. And that's the best place in town. And if you happen to be in there and you happen to get into the VIP area, you will occasionally see these, international celebrities just sat there as fed up with the thumping Eurotrans and the overpriced bottled beer as everybody else. I think it's a great leveler.
It is.
Yeah.
And so that means that the person who, until 6:30, despite the fact that he was doing the sound and the video and organising everything else, thought this quiz was actually tomorrow was...
Mr. Carl Franklin.
Yes. It was Carl.
Congratulations.
I gotta say, spectacular job on getting it all working in time for us to go live. And also, I'm a big fan of just-in-time optimization. Like, we did not waste a second of unnecessary preparation on this thing. Like, literally 30 seconds before we went live. And, Richard didn't show up until we had been streaming for 5 minutes.
Nice.
It was agile, that's for sure.
It is. I mean, people are... My partner is always like, why do you leave your talks to the last minute? I don't leave them to the last minute. They just keep getting better until it's time. Like, I'm never going to go, that's good enough. The talk's not for another week, but I'm just going to stop improving it now. Because I got, I'm going to eat healthy food and get enough sleep. Because, that's my explanation and I'm sticking to it.
Carl's team.
All right.
Guess who on Richard's team has lost a lot of weight since November thanks to hypnosis? Who spent 4 weeks at university dressed as Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Denny.
And who once played tuba in a madrigal quartet marching around a Christmas market?
All right, I know this.
Also, Denny.
I know Richard used to play tuba.
So Danny's all of them, right?
I could have said Richard had done the Star-Lord, but that's a little beneath him. Like, he's a little more, what should I say? He's a little bit more
we got to ask
educated,
you,
a little more refined.
As somebody who knows Richard well, which Guardians of the Galaxy character did Richard spend 4 weeks dressed as at university? Was it Drax the Destroyer?
It was all of them. Different times. No, all right. So
come on. I'd be Ego the Living Planet, please.
Richard, am you Groot?
All right. So I know Richard used to play tuba, so I'm picking Richard for the tuba. And I definitely think Denny was the Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think that maybe Sarah has lost weight due to hypnosis. But I could have Sarah and Denny backwards. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think Danny was dressed as a Star-Lord while walking around playing tuba, and that's why he lost a lot of weight.
You think
this is actually all stuff Denny did yesterday.
He was Star-Lord and played the tuba.
It's this amazing new weight loss plan. They dress you up as Star-Lord and then they hypnotize you and you walk around playing a tuba until you've lost 30 kilos. It's brilliant.
I might switch.
I'd have to agree. Yeah. You think you'd switch?
Do we have a consensus?
You think you want to switch?
I know. I think
Sarah and Denny. No.
Okay. No, I think we're good. Okay. I think that's what I would have gone.
All right, my original answer stands then.
All right then.
You should have switched.
Time for the big
Do you not
reveal.
know Monty Hall?
Richard,
please raise your hand if you used to play tuba.
Who used to play tuba in a madrigal quartet marching around a Christmas market? It was, of course, Richard, because neither of his
doesn't surprise me in the slightest. No. Actually, it does surprise me in the slightest. I've always had you down as a flugelhorn man. You know?
Yeah, I went for maximum size.
Right. He goes big.
Yeah.
Okay. And so who has lost a lot of weight since November? 30 kilos, in fact, since November last year, thanks to hypnosis. Yes, it was Denny.
I'm sorry that I didn't notice that, but, the webcam sort of
The camera adds 10 pounds, and there's a lot of
Adds
cameras
30
in this school right now.
Yeah.
I just don't remember you being that heavy. So,
Which
And I think most
means,
of the
and I
weight-
want to hear the story behind this one.
Yeah, I want to say the story. So first of all, for Carol, I don't mind that you then can't recognize it's the camera and the virtual thing. And even when we saw each other, it was this year already, and I think it was in February or March. So already was on that track. In November, I 2 days before my birthday, I did hypnosis therapy to lose weight. Nothing worked to lose weight. And I came in touch with somebody who does this hypnosis therapy. And I say, why not? I give it a try. Because I tried everything else and I really wanted to lose weight. Why not? It can be. And I did it, and I already lost more than 30 kilos, honestly. And I'm still on a good track. And I'm really more healthy, and I cycle more, I'm more fit. Yeah, it's really too...
congratulations, my friend. That's great.
Thank you. It's really too...
It's fantastic. It's so impressive. I'm
There's
not going to
also
make
a glass
joke
of white wine, but no snacks tonight. Glass of white wine, or some glasses, but no snacks.
mate.
Cheers.
Good on you.
Lockdown has turned me into... I'm basically approaching spherical.
Yeah,
I was never much of an athlete at the best of times. And,
So that leaves us
it's
asking Sarah why you spent 4 weeks at university dressed as Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy. And was it because you didn't
Why
have any
not?
green paint?
Sorry, was it because I...
didn't have any green
Didn't
paint.
have any green paint.
we did. One of us was definitely green the whole time, and one of us was blue. So that was kind of fun. No, but the stupid things you do at university, right? It was also really warm. This was in August, and we had these leather jackets that go like almost down to our feet. So first time we were out, we stood still for 20 minutes, and I fainted.
Wow.
So that wasn't great.
So you figure I'll just do this for 4 more weeks, and it's okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't weight
University,
loss. It's just water weight.
We all did dumb shit at
university.
university. I spent 8 weeks learning Prolog.
Weeks you never get back.
Yeah.
No, I won't get them back. I just can't prove that I will get them back. There's no such thing as negative. There's just things you can't prove are true. So, that was 8 bad weeks.
I remember I actually got kicked out of Oriel College, Cambridge, because after 3 months they worked out that I wasn't at Oriel College, Cambridge, and made me leave.
Wow.
You hadn't worked
That's
it
like
out.
the opposite. Like this morning when I stood up in my house here in London and I welcomed everybody to NDC Oslo, and I'm inviting people who aren't in Norway to Norway when I'm not in Norway. That's like the opposite of getting kicked out of a place that you aren't actually at. I love how flexible language is, you know. It's like, we're going to kick you out.
Yes.
We're not really going to kick you, and you're not actually leaving, but just that's how we're going to write it up in your permanent record.
Nice.
Oh, yes.
You're forcing people
Alright,
to
it
go
is
to Norway, but you're not
time.
letting them go to Norway.
Yeah, I gotta say, I miss Norway. Like, we'd be out there right now. It's Wednesday night. We'd be on the shrimp cruise right now.
Yeah.
You ever been on the shrimp cruise? Any of you?
Yeah.
It's only for
It's
short
like you
people.
basically they put you on a boat full of shrimp, and you're not allowed to. The boat doesn't stop until the shrimp is gone,
people.
and that's a lot of shrimp. You know.
Yeah.
Chuck 'em overboard.
Um,
then you
and-
have
and-
to
Actually, as well.
It would be
It's
a
the only
lot
time
better
in
if
my
you
life-
didn't stop before the alcohol was gone.
Also,
Well, they need to strike a balance, you know.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And after this, I have to, if I go, then I have to go back, make an appointment again with my hypnosis therapist, because
I don't know if any of you are watching the YouTube chat, but one of our YouTube spectators, Kurda Fatten, has just put a comment in that he was voted out of high school by the teachers.
That's bad.
Get out!
Okay,
Like
I think
I if we had a spare channel on this call, I'd be pinging him a URL right now to vMix and going, "Come on, you got to get on. We need to hear this story."
Yeah.
If you want to drop us in the chat here a little description of how the teachers voted you out of high school, we will read it out on the stream. But
you know that
yes,
can I tell a little story here? Mel
Absolutely.
Brooks famously once gave everybody a little lesson in comedy, and he said, there's a subtle difference between drama and comedy, and he would know, right? So this is drama, get out, and this is comedy, get out. It's just this.
It's all in the
timing. Yeah, it's in the timing.
Oh my god.
I did. There used to be a joke, and it's one of those jokes that you take a gamble when you tell it, which is you say to somebody, "Do you know what is the secret of comic genius?" And if you get a good plant for this, they will say, "I don't know what is the," and halfway through you'll go timing. And it's hilarious.
It is a good joke.
Yes.
And I had a friend
so we've got 10 minutes left.
Go ahead, ask me, what is the secret to comedy? Timing.
What? The thing is, with latency on YouTube calls, the comedy happens all by itself.
Automatically, that's right. It's built-in laughs.
Like if we literally all tried to interrupt each other with comic timing, it would just sound like people having a conversation.
What it sounds like is that everybody talks at once, then they stop, and then everybody talks at once, and then they all stop, and that's funny in and of itself.
So the thing I've noticed is people getting better at, you keep talking, and then when you realize that someone else, it's basically survival of the fittest. But the second you realize someone else's story is better than yours, you just...
Yeah. That's what it is.
This is hard. It's weird, Right, it's time for the last round. So we are going to show you. This round is called String Interpolation. It is a selection of news headlines and talk titles from NDC Oslo 2020. Is this? Yeah? It's the 45th of April right now, I think. And we're just going to throw these open. First person to shout the right answer gets a point, but if you shout something that makes us laugh, you also get a point. And don't forget the secret of timing.
Orlando.
Point to Richard. Point to Carl.
New York, it's a copyright thing. Big Apple. Okay, that one was really bad.
Okay.
I think it's to Mars.
Mars.
I wish
I think it's Apple to announce.
Yes.
To WebEx.
To Mars.
New Jersey.
Together with Elon Musk.
I think it's Apple to announce "Move to the music, groove it or lose it." Then again, with their impeccable turning, they wouldn't fit it in that. It is, of course, ARM-powered Macs, because you all remember how much fun it was when they switched from PowerPC to Intel, and then you all remember how much fun Catalina was when none of your 32-bit apps worked anymore. Yes. Apple are basically like there's whoever it is who's running the show over it. I don't actually know anyone who's running the show at Apple anymore. Steve Jobs is dead, and Johnny Ive has left, and who's calling the shots?
Some guy called Tim, I think. But no, this is because they're very upset
Cook,
that their keyboards. People didn't like their keyboards because they didn't have enough travel, and so they've put back the old keyboards. But the next wave of Mac, they're going to have so much travel that you'll actually have to type like this.
Basically, each key is like the things on the treadmill at the gym, and so when you're typing, you're going to end up with biceps like this, and you can power your laptop for 27 hours on the force of your own typing.
Nice.
And that's Starbucks not an entirely bad idea.
Yeah, the first idea was gerbil-powered Macs, but then they, because they could see the coming apocalypse, and without power, if you got some gerbils and you keep fed.
I did have a moment a couple of years ago, because one of the things that I love to do in the before times, and I hope to do again soon, is you go to a conference and you stay a couple of extra days, and you're in a city by yourself, and there's going to be people around the evening. You just kind of take your laptop and you walk, and you find a coffee place or a bar, and you do a bit of work, and you have a drink, and then you walk a bit. And the thing is, you find these nice places, and then you're like, all right, this is my laptop runs out of battery at about the same rate that I need to visit the bathroom when I've been drinking coffee or beer and working. And just one day I thought, why don't I invent a laptop that runs on piss? Like, that would solve all these problems, you know? You could build some kind of thermocouple piezo thermal generator. And I put this on Twitter, and a bunch of people sent me links to Alibaba parts that would help me do it. So, you know,
you may have just given Richard an idea for a project. We were not going to see him for years.
Well, you know, you want to do the whole, I know, Richard, you're a big fan of, like, the whole sustainable micro-ecosystem space colonization thing. MacBook that runs on urine, how about that, you know? Bake that into the equations and see.
I know there's plenty of people who thought about
my
being
question
on a
is
MacBook.
that...
Elon.
But if you're at the bar and you are working on your computer or your Mac or something, would you go to the toilet to charge your laptop, or would you just sit next to the table?
Catheter.
Yeah, that's it. You have to have a
tank in your
catheter to USB adapter.
It's kind of like skiing. It's something that before you leave for the day, you dress for what you know is going to happen. You know, it's that kind of thing. So
that would be the USB standard.
I think tomorrow we have to ask more information on Adam Koken, because we had a talk about China flying and Alibaba having a converter, you know, to convert. Yep. I think Adam should explain that tomorrow in his talk.
There you go.
Well,
I don't want to go out with you guys. I just...
Yeah.
There is an Internet of Toilets talk on the agenda somewhere for this.
Okay, next.
Niall thinks this is the death of the Internet. No, we're not even there yet. What delays unifying .NET 5 features?
Urine-powered Macs.
I think the correct answer to this is .NET 4. Because let's face it.
It said web form. You're going to be more direct about it.
Could be VB.
I think it's like microservices.
Realistic.
I think it's a fault of microservices.
Microservices. Actually, I think the word that's missing here is @blowdart, and I think this is Barry Dorrans going, "You cannot ship that. What are you doing? Are you crazy?"
That's probably true, but I'm gonna say it's Xamarin integration. Windows Form.
So that's evil. That's evil. What you are saying.
The answer is.
It is actually the only thing in the world that is less popular than VB.NET.
Of course.
Somebody at Microsoft goes, holy shit, how are we going to get .NET Core, .NET Standard, and .NET Framework converged? And they're like, we'll call it .NET 5 and we'll figure it out later. And then they're like, later, team? Anybody? Great, you can't fix it. Somebody give me a plausible reason why this is late. And as they're sitting there, then, and they're like, you know.
Thank goodness for the
every cloud, my friends, every cloud. What gets a most excellent trailer?
Top on the word.
Most excellent car.
Every Elvis impersonator in Las Vegas.
The Disney movie Onwards. The trailer was beautiful, and then the movie itself was like a sob fest.
No. I think the answer is Troy Hunt's wardrobe department.
Yeah, jeans and black t-shirts.
Oh, but they got to be pressed just right, you know.
Oh,
you see that thing a little while ago? Like there was this great article I saw about why, like when you buy clothes, it always sucks, and you see these clothes that celebrities and models wear, and someone's like, no, they buy the clothes from the shop, and then they have their personal stylist adjust it so it fits. And I was suddenly like, I understand why people wear like clothes they bought in shops when they're famous, because that makes a great deal of sense. That had never ever occurred to me. I am currently in the market for somebody to take a pair of Levi's and make them look like the bottom half of an orange, if anybody's interested.
That's a callback to the very first slide.
Right.
The correct answer is...
Bill and Ted?
And
I'm want to have a guess
I'm
at the
looking
actual
forward
answer.
to this.
Yeah, Bill
and
Ted.
Ted. Face the music.
I say Bill and Ted. I get
a point.
We win.
You win.
They've actually got... Oh, yep, they get the point.
By the way,
no,
the
this
prize
is,
for this...
This is a real thing.
prize
Middle-aged
for this, both
Keanu Reeves.
You can do your riffs and I'll do my riffs.
No, this is...
you go first, yeah.
Keanu Reeves
Timing.
in middle age and Alex Winter in middle age, who's been mostly directing since the last Bill and Ted movie, are getting back together to do middle-aged Bill and Ted.
So great!
And they've got like, so much original art back. Well,
I gotta say, when the phrase middle-aged Bill and Ted first started trending, all I thought was, I'm in this picture and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yes, Bill and Ted is getting a third film after, nearly 20 years, over 20 years. Yeah, the trailer came out yesterday, and it's brilliant. And they were doing a thing where anybody who wanted to could play air guitar.
Do you know why the trailer came out yesterday?
No.
It was because the American date yesterday was 6/9, and 69 was the number that Bill and Ted were thinking of outside the Circle K in the original movie, when they said, if you're us, then what number are we thinking of? 69, dude!
69, dude!
That's why the trailer was dropped yesterday.
Totally righteous.
Okay.
Those movies have actually held up surprisingly. I watched them recently, and particularly Bogus Journey is actually great. It's such a good movie.
Yes.
Archaeologists find a way to what?
Taste
Eat honey
at the tip of a mummy's finger.
It's time for all the callbacks.
I think archaeologists find a way to the secret cave where they are making the new nerds that I talked about in earlier slides. And I think archaeologists really find this, and it's really a danger for the new nerds who are bidding in process. It's not good, honestly. It's not good.
It's an excellent theory, but it's wrong.
The talk I gave this morning, there was a bunch of stuff in it that I just wanted to check, and I pinged an old friend of mine, and I WhatsApped him, I messaged him, and I said, "Dude, you're around. I need an archaeologist," and he just sent back, "What have you unearthed?" Yeah,
Boom, boom.
That's kind of fun. Archaeologists find a way to
what?
Compile a Visual Basic 1 application
to destroy history.
Destroy.
Did you say compile a VB1 application?
School, and then they come up with some bullshit because they found some really facts. And then we just have to learn everything all over again. And I don't have time for that.
I want to share some of the YouTube chat answers we got coming up. Archaeologists find a way to compile VB 1.0, to install Red Hat 0.9, to work from home, to bring back Steve Ballmer, to... Let's just take a moment. You know, when Satya Nadella wants to celebrate developers, he does it by base64 encoding the word devs, getting it carved in wood and putting it on a desk, on a shelf behind him. You don't remember what Steve Ballmer did when he wanted to celebrate developers? Because I will never forget.
He sweated a lot.
There's probably people out there who don't remember that. But
Developers.
Let's remember the great things that Microsoft did on Steve Ballmer's regime. I mean, no, regime will do. Windows Vista, never forget. And other products.
The
answer is archaeologists find a way to look for ancient beer.
Honey, beer.
Yes.
We were close. Mead, come on, we get the points.
Yeah,
mead is
honey.
Both honey.
I'll give you half a point.
Okay.
The way to look for ancient beer is to look in the cupboard behind the old beer, the medium-aged beer, and the nice beer.
But no, they've actually found a way of telling grains which have been malted, which is the first step to making beer. And so they can tell which grains that they've dug out of archaeological sites have been malted and which haven't.
Well,
and so the stuff that was malted, they assume that they were making beer rather than, Weetabix.
Richard, didn't you?
Yeah.
We've talked and we've geeked out about beer and whiskey and stuff, and you seem to. Was it you that said that whiskey actually came before beer?
No, because you have to make beer to make whiskey.
Well, I know that, but yeah, I guess that makes sense.
After you've had a couple of beers, would whiskey seem like a good idea?
Yeah, you need to have your.
Maybe they made whiskey first, and then they discovered beer when somebody couldn't wait for the whiskey and just went, "Oh, sod it, I'm just drinking this."
I suppose. I guess you have to qualify what beer is. Is it, fermented fruit juice around the apple that fell from the tree and sat there all
Which
winter?
arguably will be the oldest, but that's more of a wine.
Just to be
it's more of a
sure,
wine.
there is a Belgium in the car.
Sounds like
There's
cider.
a Belgium in the car, and Belgians are the only one who knows what real beer is. So,
Yes.
beer,
I think if there's one
if
thing
you're not Belgian, if you know, Belgians are the bosses of beer. So if you are not Belgian, please don't talk too much about beer, honestly.
Wow, that's a little fascist.
If there's one thing we can all agree that beer isn't, it's American.
Yeah.
Do I still love you?
Moving swiftly on.
We only America only contributed whiskey and other things like jazz, blues, rap, hip hop, things like inconsequential things.
Scotland invented whiskey. Nature's cosmic hard drive.
I said bourbon.
The three great whiskey cultures of civilization are Scotch whiskey, Irish whiskey, and bourbon. And the reason bourbon exists is that Wales was part of England, and they were not allowed to make whiskey. And so the Celtic and Gaelic culture of whiskey distilling, all the people who wanted to do it in Wales, went, we're going to go somewhere where they're going to let us do this. And so there's no great English whiskey, and all the great Welsh whiskey makers, Jim Beam and Johnny Walker and those people, they all went to Kentucky. And that's where the tradition of bourbon came from.
Yeah, and there's actually a story that we learned when we were in Kentucky that the term bourbon was because Elijah Craig was the first person who accidentally made it. People were making corn liquor and shipping it in oak barrels down the Ohio River down to down to New Orleans. And this Elijah Craig, this farmer / distiller, had a fire and his barrels burned. But he used them anyway, and then it took 9 weeks for it to get down the river. By the time it got to New Orleans, it had soaked up a lot of that caramely flavor and color, and they want more. And the barrels were from Bourbon County, so they wanted more of that bourbon whiskey. So that's the story, as far as I know.
Somebody in the YouTube chat has pointed out that Sarah looks bored to hell with the talk about alcohol, so we should move on to the next question.
Okay.
Nature's cosmic hard drive. What could store information like what?
DNA.
Could store information like whiskey barrels. No, we said we were moving on. Sorry.
Yeah, I heard recently that a single sperm cell can hold about several terabytes, 30 or 40 terabytes of information.
This is one of those points where there's a very fine line between stuff which is genuinely scientifically interesting and stuff which would technically be in breach of the code of conduct. But if anyone is curious about this, Google bandwidth of human ejaculation. And you will learn things that you didn't even know were interesting. You really will.
Okay.
I'm not going to take that any further, but you're all welcome to go and do your own research.
Swiftly moving on now, Dylan.
So, any more ideas on what could store information like what?
Cosmic hard drive means something outside of Earth.
Did someone say bleenies?
Bleenies
can store information like a lean. I'm going to show you the answer to this because
a lot of information. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ant's good. I mean, there's some very interesting information. Yeah. There is actually a fantastic series of books, Time's Children by Adrian Tchaikovsky, about sentient spiders who build supercomputers out of ant colonies. It's fantastic. But the correct answer to this question is black holes could store information like holograms.
Oh my god.
And so Mark just sent me all these news headlines with the words already removed, so I have no idea what they're about or why they're funny. What's the story, Mark?
The story there is that people used to think that stuff went into black holes and never came out again, but that violates conservation of energy. And so now they reckon that black holes could store information and release it back into the universe, but all scrambled. So kind of like an encryption mechanism. But the reason it's like holograms is that black holes are two-dimensional. Because they are singularities, they only exist in 2 dimensions, and so the information would be stored like holograms. There you go. It's not funny. I just thought people would come up with funny things to say while we were trying to guess.
Yeah, we kind of did.
NASA astronauts welcome to ISS with what?
Dom Perignon Champagne. It was the SpaceX rocket, wasn't it?
That's the right answer, Carl. This is a comedy show.
Well, you know, I gave
it's
you
not
a...
It's not the SpaceX.
I already made fun of the
It's
French.
not the SpaceX rocket, though.
No? Okay.
Rich has actually dropped off the call and is now just a static image.
I thought he was just thinking really hard about something.
Yeah,
he'd
had
know.
to drop off the call at 8:30, so...
Right.
I think
so the correct answer... Sorry, Denny, go ahead.
It's so late. No, it's so late. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Hugs and handshakes.
Hugs
now it is.
handshakes.
Oh, hugs and
I'm so jealous of them. I'm so jealous of them. Yeah.
all right.
This is the reason I
all over the place.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, because they're not on Earth, which means they're allowed to touch each other.
Yeah. They are human beings.
But they came from Earth. They could have been infected.
Quarantine astronauts.
Elijah Wood
I know
visits
this one.
strangers
I know
loo
Layla knows
to
this one.
take a
Layla knows
poo.
this one.
I'm so excited. I actually
Yeah, but I got a funny answer. Elijah Wood visits strangers.
The true answer, the
All
real answer to this one is actually hilarious. What's
Elijah,
the answer, Layla?
Elijah Wood visits strangers loo to take a poo.
You got to look at the
That's
length
not
of
it.
the sensor we've done there. Like that's no. You need to pay some basic attention to kerning and
Elijah Wood
typography to be in with a
visits
chance.
strangers' back bathroom toilet to take a dump.
Outhouse.
Layla, go for it. Tell us what Elijah Wood did.
He went to someone's Animal Crossing island to buy turnips or something.
Whoop.
Yes,
I don't know
he
anything
did.
about Animal Crossing. Woo! He did! I got something right! Yay!
So, yes, apparently in the new Animal Crossing New Horizons, there's a thing where on Sundays you can buy turnips, and then throughout the week you have a chance to sell the turnips for more money. But if you don't sell the turnips by the next Sunday, then they go off and you're stuck with a bunch of turnips. And people have been on Reddit saying, oh, turnips are going for like 1,000 bells on my island, and handing out their invite codes.
All they got to do is pack them in honey.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
You ever had honey glazed turnip? It's actually really nice.
I'm sure, and it'll last forever.
Yeah.
But no, Elijah Wood very nicely asked somebody if he could go to her Animal Crossing island to sell his turnips, and she said yes, and apparently he was a model guest. Great. He was polite. He complimented her on her flower arrangements, and behaved himself very nicely. And she wished all the people who had come to her island to sell turnips had been so nice.
Somebody on YouTube says, "Oh, is this a video game?"
Yes, it's a video game,
it's
Jason.
Becoming increasingly difficult in lockdown to work out what's real and what's not. Yeah. So, okay, the whole Animal Crossing thing. All right, I spent 6 weeks thinking Tiger King was a straight-to-video sequel to Lion King. I'm really not in touch with popular culture, you know? I don't know what Animal Crossing is.
Though, right?
I thought maybe it was like when the King of Scotland became the King of the United Kingdom, and I don't know. It's complicated.
Well, who knows?
Guys, I have to run.
During lockdown.
I have to run.
Were you disappointed?
Okay, so we're losing both the team captains.
Well, how much longer do we have?
We
can wrap this up, and let's do one more. We'll rapid fire the rest. We have overrun ever so slightly, because none of us has anything better to look forward to after this. We'll wrap this up real quick. So, rapid fire round. Why developers who use what love it so much? My answer was deodorant.
Ruby.
Yeah, mine too. Well, Judith actually used deodorant.
I say Ruby.
The correct answer is, of course, Rust.
Oh, Rust.
3D printed what? And a little IoT and a Xamarin mobile app. So this is onto the NDC book headlines. Hand! 3D printed bionic hand is the correct answer.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember that.
Smart home from scratch. A little C#, a little C++, and a whole lot of...
whiskey.
Chinese.
I mean, it's going to go with missing semicolons.
Patience.
Oh my god.
The correct answer is cheap Chinese
Yeah, okay, that
electronics.
was my next thing.
Cheap Chinese.
Do developers dream of...
Getting out of the
Lady?
Matrix.
Girlfriend.
A lover?
Taking the blue pill,
Getting out
taking
of
the red
Matrix.
pill.
Yeah.
Animal Crossing.
Electric.
Do developers...
Dreaming of something other than code. Oh, okay.
And finally, the last round for this evening.
Funk.
What up your .NET apps?
Funkify.
Funkify.
Funk up.
Whoop.
I think we should go Funkify. Whoop. The correct answer is Fluxing.
Okay.
Up your .NET apps. And on that note, thank you very much, our panelists. Thank you to my co-host, Mark Randall, as always, for being funny, despite having no preparation, no rehearsal, no script, and pulling this together at the last minute. It used to turn out that being unrehearsed wasn't a problem. Now it turns out that being spread out across, we're on, 3 different continents right now, is also not a problem. Thank you very much to our panelists, Danny de Klerk, Sarah Bergman, Elin Tondel, Layla Porter. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Mark. We are NDC Oslo. We will be live streaming again tomorrow night with 2 hours of daft music, comedy, entertainment. We will be doing an actual conference tomorrow. If you're not at that, you can buy tickets. And the great thing is you don't need to leave the house. You can literally spend the money, get the ticket, click the link, join the conference, and be part of all the fun, and you don't even need to put trousers on. But in the meantime, thank you very much, YouTube. This has been emotional. We will see you all soon. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good
Good night.
night.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye bye.